There's a complete misunderstanding as to what VC is supposed to do. Let me start from there. What is the number one challenge that each one of you are facing?
If there is any contingency, then it all goes for a toss, and then you have to pump in more capital to sustain constantly.
We developed the complete vehicle right from the scratch. If you want to make a vehicle for the B2C category, it has to look different.
We have deployed around 400 vehicles right now as an OEM.
So have there been cases of drivers getting stranded because the batteries run out? They've not had the accurate sort of estimation.
The battery is not giving what it's supposed to. It's kind of a guessing game. One battery is giving 40 kilometers range, the other one you're getting is 60.
It's not like that we can take किसी का धड़ ले लें, किसी का सर ले लें और मिला के बना दें.
The ecosystem has to work together.
Coming to two-wheeler, the number would be 7 to 8 lakhs on an annual level. This is just high-speed vehicles. The lowest-speed vehicle is 2x or 3x of this.
What is the why? Why will you win? Your reason to win. If that answer is very credible, what is your right to win?
Suppose for our startup, our development cycle is done, and now we are looking for scalability.
इंडिया में जितने founders हैं और जितना capital है, उसमें there is a gap.
Actually, in B2C, both is not required. You just get a portable charger. आप अपनी parking में install कर लो.
Argument हो जाती है कि क्यों मेरे को मना करा, मैंने तो ये करा.
We see things about the safe note in the early days.
बहुत सारे founders को लगता है बिजनेस का मतलब होता है कि कोई भी उनको पैसा दे दे बस. It is also your skill कि आप किसी को convince कर पाओ कि आप जो प्राइस बोल रहे हो ठीक है, राइट. अगर आप उसी में मार खा रहे हो तो क्या आपको आस्क कर सकते कि आप बिजनेस क्यों चला रहे हो? Welcome to yet another episode of Startup Table with AJ being me, Archana Jahagirdar, and we are back in the Rukam Capital office. As always, it's always a pleasure to have founders and have conversations with them. Today, we are going to be talking about mobility, all things mobility. Mobility is what makes a nation move, and if we want to achieve our goal of $10 trillion economy, then of course, mobility is a problem we've got to solve, and there are founders who are excited to solve this problem. And let's talk to them about the challenges and the opportunities that are there in this sector. So I'm going to request each one of you to introduce yourselves and give a brief description about your startup. I'll start with you, sir.
Okay. Very good morning. First of all, thanks for this invitation. I am Shivendra Singh. I am founder and CEO of B2B Mobility Private Limited. We are an IMT Faridabad-based electric two-wheeler OEM startup. We are the founding team has comes from an automotive background. Before starting this company, we worked in automotive for last 10 to 12 years. And we started our company in August 2022. And since then, we are developing a product for the D2C space.
Can I ask you to introduce?
Yeah, hi, myself Tesh Kumar Gautam. I am founder of Drivement. So before this, I had experience of around 5 years in the industry as a software engineer. At Drivement, we are building the advanced driving assistance for the two-wheeler and the small segment car. So, like with the AI-powered intelligence, here we are building the patented technology that will help the Indian versatile behavior of the riders as well as to solve the Indian ecosystem challenges.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shahnawaz Rao. I am the founder of NxtMile Mobility. So we are into shared mobility space, and we are helping businesses and delivery riders to reduce their carbon footprint and earning their incomes. And we are also incubated at IIM Lucknow, Noida campus.
Thank you. Please introduce.
Hi everyone, Aditya Tiwari here, founder of Geliose Mobility. So Geliose Mobility is an IIT Delhi incubated startup, and we are working on design, development and manufacturing of electric two-wheeler. So our flagship product is known as Hope, which we have indigenously built and developed here at IIT Delhi. The whole R&D and even the technology is vertically integrated over here. The product is basically for last mile delivery and last mile commute purposes.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Jitendra Paril, co-founder and CTO of CR Mobility Private Limited. We are incubated in ICIIT Patna, and we are working on the motors for aerospace, for automotives and the defense as well.
Welcome.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Anubhav. I'm the founder of Kadam Mobility. So we're into end-to-end last mile delivery for platforms, online platforms with generating demand across food, quick commerce, e-commerce, etc. So we are based on a model where we help them electrify their fleets as well as drive efficiencies through maximum utilization and operational control on the platform. Operating for a year, we have about 800 vehicles in our fleet.
Oh, wow. Great. Welcome, everyone. So, we use both Hindi and English, so use whichever language everybody's comfortable in. What is the number one challenge that each one of you are facing in your own domains as to what you're building? So anybody can start. It's not by turn, but let everybody finish. So whoever wants to take that question can. You
I
wanna
can
go?
start.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
it's an easy one for us. So we're into operational, and so we have vehicles, and then we deliver orders on the platform. So number one challenge is utilization. If there is no asset utilization, none of the math that you do on the Excel works. So long as you can utilize it effectively, the asset as well as the
That's a
manpower.
business problem. Is there any larger ecosystem problem you face?
Yeah, in terms of the ecosystem as well, I feel there are a lot of operators who are procuring assets because of the demand. There's so much demand across segments, right, in mobility. Because so many online platforms need a person and a vehicle at the end of the last mile to deliver it. So it foreseeing that demand, there's a lot of people who procure vehicles, everyone has vehicles, but then asset reliability, so there's downtime, as well as manpower availability affects the utilization and in turn your bottom line. So most of the large scale operators operating above 1,000 vehicles are burning money, and I don't know how sustainable that is.
Eventually, you think it'll be sustainable or not?
It's a tricky one because the asset has a limited life, right?
Yeah, of course.
So by the time you reach that scale volume where the unit economics made sense, you need to replenish your assets. So that's the
Chicken and egg situation.
it is. So long as your fleet is utilized, I think the math makes sense. But if there is any contingency, then it all goes for a toss, and then you have to pump in more capital to sustain constantly.
Understood. So, what are the challenges? Number one challenge in your business.
The problem that we are facing is on the fundraising front. For example, because we are working on EV tech and we come from automotive background and we developed the complete vehicle right from the scratch, where the company
Was there a need to do that?
yeah, because if we want to make a vehicle for the D2C category, it has to look different. Design has to be unique one. Otherwise, there is no brand recognition then. Therefore, we need to have a unique design. We develop entire technology right from the scratch because the core technology, either it was coming from China or it was coming from the top tier one companies like Bosch and all. And those companies are not ready to give these kind of technologies to start. Therefore, we come from that background and we develop that kind of complete technology. When we are creating such kind of a product, it takes time. Okay, we bootstrap.
How much time?
For example, we took around 2 years to build this, and we raised from friends and family 4.5 CR. For
Wow. You're
for-
lucky that you have friends and
for
family
for-
who could give you
for
4
doing this
CR.
based on our face value. But what we are facing now, we are slightly above ahead of MVP, but before SOP stage, where we need funds for ICAT approval for tooling. We need to do the tooling of body panels and all, and we are looking for funds. But
So, where are you doing? Where is your setup in Delhi?
in Faridabad.
In Faridabad.
In Faridabad, IMT Faridabad. The problem we are facing now, whenever we are talking to investors like VCs and all, they need revenue. But when we are developing such kind of product, it means we are not burning money, but even to reach the start of production, we need
because
investment.
It's almost like a greenfield project because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
design the product, you design the vehicle.
So the problem we are facing, many people visit our company. When they talk to us, everything is nice. The founders are good, background is good, technology is good, product is very good. But when it comes to the final writing check, at that time, then there is a backseat that either they need revenue. So earlier, what we have taken a small additional thing that earlier we were just planning for the D2C category, but now we think then now we already started working on the B2B category also, because he rightly pointed out that in B2B the biggest problem is that the fleet owners, they don't have the right kind of vehicle, and as per our calculation, if the vehicle runs at least for 3 years, only then there will be money coming to the fleet owners. Therefore, we understand that problem and we come from a technology background. Therefore, we are making a vehicle which can sustain that kind of duration, so that there is profitability on the fleet owners part.
Understood. What are the other challenges?
Fund is the one challenges, but mainly I wanted to point it as like trust. Suppose we are building some technology, so company to whom you are supplying, there has to be trust to us.
I think that's a bigger problem because
Yes.
funding is also a function of trust ultimately.
यस यस सो उसमें होता क्या है कि जैसे हम लोगों ने टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप कर लिया, कंपनी आती है देखती है, बट स्टिल पता नहीं, एक बार आपने बात कर लिया उसके बाद रिस्पॉन्स का प्रॉब्लम आता है. सेकेंड थिंग की कॉस्ट, हम एक स्टार्टअप है, हम 1 लाख क्वांटिटी अभी नहीं बना सकते। सो इनिशियली वॉट एवर वी आर डेवलपिंग और प्रोड्यूसिंग, तो उसमें हमारा कॉस्ट एक्स्ट्रा जाएगा। अगर हम 100 क्वांटिटी बना रहे हैं, 2000 क्वांटिटी बना रहे हैं, तो वी कैन नॉट कम्पीट टू द चाइना एंड अदर कंट्री हु इज प्रोड्यूसिंग देयर वॉल्यूम इन बिग
हाँ,
बिग
उनका वॉल्यूम की वजह से उनकी कॉस्ट कम है।
कम है। तो इंडिया में अभी थोड़ा रिसोर्सेज का भी प्रॉब्लम है इन टर्म्स ऑफ मटेरियल्स एंड ऑल, तो वो चीज़ को कंपनियों को समझना पड़ेगा कि लाइक एज ए स्टार्टअप, या टेक्निकली आप ही बोल रहे हैं कि हाँ वी आर वेरी गुड, बट अगेन कंपेयरिंग विथ कॉस्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ चाइना, एंड वी आर नॉट प्रोड्यूसिंग वॉल्यूम इन लाइक लैक्स, सो दैट
क्या होता है ना, जो भी बिजनेस आता है किसी भी वेंडर के पास, वो अपने P&L को देख के आएगा है ना,
हाँ।
तो उनको कॉस्ट का प्रेशर तो उन पे भी है। तो इसलिए आई अंडरस्टैंड योर प्रॉब्लम,
यस यस
बट मैं ये बोल रही हूँ कि जैसे हम कंज्यूमर स्टार्टअप्स को भी ये बोलते हैं कि आप छोटी कंपनी हो, आपको पता है, मुझे पता है, बट कंज्यूमर उसको क्यों फर्क पड़ना चाहिए, बिकॉज वो तो अपने पैसे दे रहा है या दे रही है, तो वो तो बोलेंगे कि भैया मैंने इतने पैसे दिए, इसमें मुझे एक बड़ी कंपनी का भी सामान मिल सकता है और एक छोटी कंपनी का भी मिल सकता है। So why will the customer compromise? That is the unfortunate part of business. But I understand. But ये जो आपने ट्रस्ट और विश्वास की जो बात करी ना, ये बहुत अच्छी बात है। मैं इस पे थोड़ा सा और बात करना चाहूंगी, बट मैं सबसे सुनना चाहती हूँ कि क्या challenges हैं। So whoever wants to go
इसी
next.
में मैं एक और पॉइंट ऐड करूंगा.
हाँ.
Whenever we are dealing with the bigger OEMs, it is time taking process to make their decision if they want to work with a startup or any other company. So I think if they are working already with someone like bigger company, now they want to switch for any product to a startup, it will take some time to like deal the or any kind of collaboration.
But I think जो B2B sales ना, सारे startups, I mean whether it's a SaaS company or whether it's a mobility, सबको ये problem आती है कि the enterprise ना, उनको पता है that everybody wants a business और they know they can hold out. But जो छोटी कंपनी होती है उनको ऑर्डर तो आज चाहिए, otherwise you can't continue your business. So there is that mismatch or there's an asymmetry of requirement and needs actually. तो वो बहुत सारी बिजनेसेस में हम देखते हैं, स्पेशली जहाँ पे B2B है। B2C में थोड़ा सा वो आसान रहता है, बिकॉज कस्टमर को आज जरूरत है तो वो आज ही आ रहा है खरीदने के लिए। द कस्टमर इज नॉट गोइंग टू डू डिलेड ग्रेटिफिकेशन। तो उसमें थोड़ा सा ये फर्क है B2B एंड B2C में। तो B2B सेल्स इज वेरी वेरी हार्ड, आप सही बोल रहे हैं।
But B2C is harder because you
the degree of
B2C में क्या, जैसे इलेक्ट्रिक टू व्हीलर्स में ठीक है, व्हीकल कंपेयर कर सकते हैं किसी भी बेस्ट ब्रांड के साथ में, बट वहाँ क्या है, वहाँ पे क्या है कि इतने बड़े बड़े जेंट्स बैठे हैं कि उनके पास इतना फंड्स है मार्केटिंग स्पेंड करने के लिए। तो वहाँ पे B2C में डिफरेंट क्वेश्चन है। वहाँ क्वेश्चन ऐसा है कि इतने बड़े बड़े प्लेयर्स के सामने आप कैसे ब्रांडिंग को एस्टेब्लिश करोगे और कोई ब्रांड सामने कैसे।
प्रॉब्लम नहीं, बट मेरा सिर्फ इतना कहना है कि वो डिसीजन मेकिंग ना तुरंत होती है। दैट्स द ओनली डिफरेंस बिटवीन B2B एंड B2C में।
कि आज हमने शोरूम खोला तो
अगर किसी को आज टू व्हीलर चाहिए तो आज ही चाहिए, वो मतलब एक साल बाद नहीं आएगा यार। तो उस डिसीजन मेकिंग में अगर आप फिट होते हो तो ठीक है, वो खरीद लेगा। बट B2B में क्या है ना कि द कंपनी के वेट एक साल भी वेट कर सकती है, आपको वेट करवा सकती है, और वो ट्रायल करवा सकती है, बिकॉज दे हैव दैट प्राइसिंग पावर एंड दे हैव द होल्डिंग पावर, और स्टार्टअप के पास नहीं होती। बट एनीवे, आई वांट टू हियर फ्रॉम एवरीबॉडी ऑन चैलेंजेस।
Sure. So, so basically, see the ecosystem problem we are facing right now. So our vehicles are already on road. So around, we have deployed around 400 vehicles right now as an OEM. So our clients are again B2B, fleet operator, fleet leasing guys, okay? The problem is on the battery swapping and fast charging side right now. There is a huge ecosystem problem because even there are few battery swapping players, but they are also not mature right now. There are serious problems on ground happening right now, because of which even if the vehicle is good, right, the driver is suffering. The rider is
you have rate anxiety there.
True. Then the second part comes. Now the client have started asking us that you give us fast charging solutions. Now we have started working on fast charging as well. But somehow the ecosystem is building for that. So we are even helping fast charging players and new battery swapping players to scale with us. So that is one ecosystem problem we are facing right now, basically.
Actually, that is really a hard problem because you need both infrastructure and localized solutions. You need both for it. You want
So it adds another variable, right? So already there are two big variables. Demand is there. That's not a question. The vehicle is a
Does
variable.
everybody agree that there's
Yeah,
demand?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
Demand.
Huge
Okay.
demand.
That's a
That is the only positive point actually.
So there is
That's a good
huge
point.
demand for every sort of product, service, whatever you're giving in this space. But there's a variable which is the vehicle, because so many OEMs, lack of trust, etc., as you said, and reliability becomes an issue. Second is a driver, the end user himself. Having that person stuck to the vehicle is also, there's a cost to it, and there's another incentive. Now, when you add swapping in it, there's another variable, because sometimes you have to go wait for a long time for a swap. The battery is not giving what it's supposed to. It's kind of a guessing game. One battery is giving 40 kilometers range, the other one you're getting is 60, so it's a lottery system. So all these variables make it extremely hard to fulfill that and essentially utilize the asset effectively. So I think for OEMs
Do
as
you
well,
think that if there were some standards that were said that a battery has to be a minimum, let's say 60 kilometers, would that help, or that will further cause an impediment to the growth of the industry?
I think I'll let the technical guys take that, but the battery has a life, right? The cells do deteriorate over time. So how often can you replenish your battery supply? There's a cost to it. So it has to deteriorate, as my understanding.
Just give you an example. So we were working with a battery swapping company. I won't name it obviously.
Of course, please.
But for a same vehicle, they have given us 3 type of packs, which becomes a huge hurdle for us,
Wow.
right? So even there is no standardization inside a company also. So forget about ecosystem.
So why is there no standardization, let's say, within a company? So now you agree we don't want any external sort of standards to be established.
No, that is not required.
No, fair enough. But
Yeah.
then why is one company not able to give a standardized solution?
I'll give you a reason. So they started 2 years ago, suppose, right? So they had some sort of battery packs, like 1,000 battery packs already running in market. Now they have innovative, right? Now the
So
new
every
packs is
technology upgrades, the
Correct.
pack changes.
now there are new 2,000 packs, and after 6 months there are new 5,000 packs. But the fleet operator and the OEM has to take care of all the battery packs. So that is a huge challenge actually. It looks very simple but when we come towards vehicle integration, right, and when the driver is going, he doesn't know which pack he's gonna get, right? So it becomes a huge challenge there on ground.
So have there been cases of drivers getting stranded because the battery has run out? They've not had the accurate sort of estimation of how many hours they're going to get.
So basically, drivers generally don't get stranded on road as per se, but when they go towards the station, so that transparency is not there sometimes. He might get the pack, he might not get a battery pack, he might have to wait 30 minutes, right? So it basically, it doesn't solve the
So
purpose.
his productivity and the overall productivity also is not then achieved.
In 30 minutes right now, delivery boy is doing 3 to 4 orders.
Yeah.
So basically, he is losing 150, 200 rupees income right now.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big problem.
So as a fleet operator, biggest challenge is मतलब quality of the vehicle. Most of the OEM मतलब China source करके vehicle इधर import करके और CKD लाके यहाँ पे सेल कर देते हैं, और मतलब ट्रस्ट का बहुत ज्यादा इशू इसमें है. मतलब आज OEM है, कल होगा नहीं होगा वो भी डिपेंड पता नहीं चलता मतलब. तो सबसे बड़ा इशू यही है. और यहाँ पर मतलब 2 OEM है, तो इनके मतलब यही एक मतलब लर्निंग होगी कि खुद से व्हीकल को डेवलप करें अपनी टेक्नोलॉजीज को.
No, actually, I agree with him a lot. Yeah, because till now the availability was not there. The market was flooded with Chinese vehicle, and we are solving that gap only.
Why was the market flooded with Chinese vehicles? Because we were late to start as a ecosystem? Was that the reason?
Cheaper
Or they were
initially.
just cheaper and they were ahead of the game?
I will give you the exact reason for that. The reason is whenever we are developing a new vehicle, we need to do a new frame design. We need to do the entire body panel new design. Only for the tooling of this body panel and chassis, at least we need 3 to 4 CR, 3 to 4 crores only to do the, and then we need working capital. Therefore, any startup who is
Do
going,
you have enough engineers?
yeah,
designers?
we have.
There's
Our design is right from the scratch. Our chassis.
toolers. Are there enough high quality, people who can do the tooling?
Yeah.
So
That is
so from
what
a
I.
talent perspective, the materials, are there enough materials?
Yeah, everything is available. Only thing is that if we want to make a new vehicle, then we need a complete tooling done, and we need 4 to 5 CR for that. And designing is such a thing. Either you do the complete design, और यू टेक द कंप्लीट डिजाइन फ्रॉम समवेयर. इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट वी कैन टेक किसी का धड़ ले लें, किसी का सर ले लें और मिला के बना दें. व्हीकल इज
My
नॉट.
God.
हाँ,
My God for that.
तो व्हीकल इज नॉट सच अ थिंग.
कुछ कर देते
तो
हो
जो सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम यही है, क्योंकि कोई भी जो स्टार्टअप है जिसको 4 से 5 करोड़ रुपए है, तो वो उसको वर्किंग कैपिटल में डालना चाहेगा बजाय कि टूरिंग में. जैसे हमने डाले 4-4.5 करोड़ रुपए, हम स्टक हो गए उसके बाद. ठीक है, अब नाउ वी आर ऑन द सर्वाइवल बेसिस. तो उसमें क्या होता है कि सब चाइना से ले रहे हैं, वो सेम व्हीकल आ रहा है, दिखने में सेम, आप स्टिकर हटाओ, कंपनी का नाम नहीं बता सकते कौन सी कंपनी का है. ठीक है, तो वैसे ही व्हीकल है. अब फ्लीट ओनर के साथ क्या दिक्कत है? अगर फ्लीट ओनर के पास मैं महंगा व्हीकल लेके चला जाऊंगा कि भाई ये महंगा व्हीकल है लेकिन अच्छी क्वालिटी का, 3 साल चलेगा, 3 साल चलेगा, तो उनको भी कैश क्रंच है, उनको कम कॉस्ट में चाहिए. तो दो टाइप के इकोसिस्टम पैरेलली चल रहे हैं. एक जो है बड़े बड़े प्लेयर्स का चल रहा है, जहाँ पे बड़े लीडिंग ओईएम्स हैं, उनके लीडिंग सप्लायर्स हैं. दूसरे जहाँ सारे ही स्टार्टअप लेवल पे बैठे हैं. टियर 1 जो है वो भी स्टार्टअप लेवल पे है, ओईएम जो है वो भी स्टार्टअप है, फ्लीट वाले भी स्टार्टअप लेवल पे. तो कोई भी कैश रिच नहीं है जो ये कर सके कि ओके आई विल पुट फर्स्ट मनी. लेट्स से अगर फ्लीट ओनर के पास पैसा, वो कहे ओके आई विल पुट मनी, आप मुझे एक अच्छा व्हीकल दो, तो एक अच्छा ओईएम जो है टूलर को एक अच्छा व्हीकल देगा. तो ये मतलब चिकन एंड एग सिचुएशन है. जैसे इन्होंने स्वैपिंग स्टेशन होता है, स्वैपिंग स्टेशन का हम लोग भी काफी डिस्कशन किया. तो एक ही कंपनी के अंदर जो लैंग्वेज स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन है वो तो एक ट्रांजिएंट प्रॉब्लम है कि पहले कुछ महंगा है लेकिन वो अब स्टैंडर्ड की तरफ जा रहा है. दूसरा जो प्रॉब्लम है, दूसरा बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्या है, चिकन एंड सिचुएशन की. मान लीजिए मैं कहता हूँ कि यहाँ सर्विंग स्टेशन लगा दो, वो कहेंगे कि नहीं वहाँ पे व्हीकल्स कितने
Demand नहीं
हैं.
है.
जो फ्लीट लगाना चाहता है वो कहता है मैं फ्लीट तब लगाऊंगा जब यहाँ पे कहते हैं स्वैपिंग स्टेशन हो. तो ये
So what does everybody else feel about this?
That's where the platform comes in, right? They give the demand. So whoever the platform that you're working with, they will give you your hotspot. And everyone, the ecosystem has to work together to evolve.
Why is the ecosystem working together?
It's a slow process because there's a lot of
Why is
infrastructure.
it slow?
Infrastructure, right? There's a lot of infrastructure required for charging, swapping. There's a lot of capital required. So there are 3 to 4 key stakeholders. One is the demand generator, which is the platform, online platform. One is the OEM. Then there's the fleet operator. Then there's charging, parking, infrastructure. Finally, there's the financer. Everyone needs to be aligned on what needs to be done for it to move forward progressively. Somewhere in this loop, for OEMs, it's a double-edged sword. We as an operator want a very good vehicle, but we want the cheapest vehicle. So what do you get, right? So everyone needs to be in tandem for it to kind of progress together.
मैम आई एम टोटली एग्री विद सर. इसमें ऐसा है कि ये सिर्फ व्हीकल की ही बात नहीं है. इफ यू कम एट द कंपोनेंट लेवल्स, जैसे मोटर हो गया या उसके कंट्रोलर्स हो गए या कोई भी पार्ट हो, सेमी कंडक्टर्स इज नॉट देयर इन इंडिया. वी विल हैव टू डिपेंड ऑन द आइदर ताइवान, चाइना और सम अदर. हम कंट्रोलर कहाँ से बनाएंगे? विल नॉट गेट द माइक्रोचिप. और जब हम बाहर से बाई कर रहे हैं, तो आपको ये R&D करने के लिए एक अच्छा कैपिटल, पैसों की रिक्वायरमेंट है.
माइक्रोचिप की अवेलेबिलिटी में भी प्रॉब्लम है, इवन जब
नहीं.
इंपोर्ट आप कर रहे हैं.
अवेलेबिलिटी में इशू नहीं है.
नहीं है.
नहीं, उसको आपको R&D करना पड़ेगा. अगेन R&D करने के लिए यू नीड टू हैव टाइम. सो अगेन फिर स्टार्टअप सिंपल सॉल्यूशन देख रहे हैं. बाहर से बनवा लो, बाहर से फॉर्मेट टाइप करवा लो, उनके डिजाइन सर्किट ले लो, यहाँ पे मैन्युफैक्चर करवा लो. सेम वैसे ही चल रहा है, मतलब कंपोनेंट लेवल पे भी.
और चिप में ना चिप में एक प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, दो प्रॉब्लम्स है बेसिकली. पहला क्या है कि उसका एमओक्यू होता है कि मान लीजिए आपने कोई आपको 5,000 का एमओक्यू होता है नॉर्मली, और 5,000 व्हीकल्स बनाना या 5,000 मोटर्स बनाना बहुत बड़ी बात है. और दूसरा क्या होता है, एक तो ये हो गया एमओक्यू का इशू. दूसरा इशू आपका ये है कि जो सेमीकंडक्टर है, दे आर काइंड ऑफ प्रोडक्ट जहाँ पे आपका अगर वॉल्यूम होता है ना, तो एक फ्री का रेट होता है. मतलब उसको उतना डिफरेंस आता है वॉल्यूम का प्राइसिंग पे. तो वो बहुत क्रिटिकल पार्ट था. हमारे केस में तो क्या है, क्योंकि हम सेम इंडस्ट्री से थे, तो सारे सेमीकंडक्टर सप्लायर हैं, दे आर ऑलरेडी इन टच, तो हमें ऑलमोस्ट लो प्राइस मिल रहा है, कम वॉल्यूम पे भी, जो बड़े बड़े प्लेयर्स को मिल रहा है. तो वी हैव बिल्ट दैट काइंड ऑफ रिलेशनशिप विद देम. बट अगर कोई नया प्लेयर है, तो मतलब वो रेट तो छोड़ो, आपको अगर एक बेसिक कोई सैंपल भी चाहिए ना, इवैल्यूएट भी करना है, तो दैट इज आल्सो वेरी डिफिकल्ट.
So that is clearly then a big sort of stumbling block.
बट वो सारा ले देके सारा फंडिंग पे चला जाता है. अगर देखा जाए वो
टोटली
एवरीथिंग बॉइल्स डाउन टू फंडिंग. अगर आपके फंडिंग है तो जो सप्लायर्स हैं उनको भी लगता है कि नहीं, ये दे आर वेल फंडेड.
Okay, but I'll pose another question. जैसे अगर let's say the semiconductor ecosystem and industry was there, तो your MOQs could be better handled because the pricing would be different. आप rupee to rupee transaction कर रहे हो, you don't have to be spending in dollars, and then you're not dealing with कि कहीं और से, because उनको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि आप अगर जिंदा हो, मर गए, आप कंपनी बन रही है, right? Whereas you can react or respond to an Indian vendor. So is it also an issue of the ecosystem?
यस यस, जैसे चाइना में आपका कि वहीं पे आपका टूल बनता है, वहीं टूल से आपके मोल्डिंग निकल जाती है, वहीं पार्ट्स मिल रहे हैं, वहीं पे आपका असेंबल हो रहा है, पूरा व्हीकल वहीं से निकल जा रहा है, एक सिंगल सिटी से। तो डेफिनेटली दैट इज एडवांटेज, बहुत सारा कॉस्ट तो लॉजिस्टिक्स में चला जाएगा।
मैं वही बोल
हाँ,
रही थी, अगर
definitely.
एवरीथिंग इज इजीली अवेलेबल, जैसे एक टाइम पे अमेरिका में डेट्रॉइट वाज द कैपिटल फॉर कंबस्शन, यू नो, cars. So everything was, the ecosystem was in one place. So your transport cost. Any other problems? Any other comment on trust? On
I'll just add to it. Basically, see, a lot of problems being discussed, few have been solved also. It's not like that.
what has been solved?
So I'll tell you, like these issues, like people talking about like MOQs, right? So there are ways to go around it actually, like, and even startups are doing it right now. And when you're working with OEM, regarding OEM, right, we have solved a lot of problems regarding the tooling and everything, and there are solutions to it also. I think what I feel is like everything is not about a funding issue here. If you
I'm
have
glad you're saying it.
Yeah.
Because ये मेरी favorite line है.
right, because if you can generate a lot of demand on the customer end, right, there can be back-end solutions in each step. And what even we are seeing right now, ki even the fleet operators which are running from 5 years, they have already burnt their hand with China product. Now they are moving on, and they are saying we are willing to pay 10%, 20%, 30% premium also. Right now, if the vehicle life is 18 to 24 months, if you're giving us a 5 years life, right, or 4 years life, we are willing to go forward because TCO will increase, right? So I think ये system mature हो रहे हैं. It's just कि battery swapping और fast charging में issue क्या है कि अभी ज़्यादातर startups हैं, and it's a huge capex driven industry. आपको बैटरी स्वैपिंग लगाने के लिए, फास्ट चार्जिंग लगाने के लिए, यू नीड अ लॉट ऑफ केपेक्स. एंड आई थिंक हियर सम सॉर्ट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट सब्सिडी और गवर्नमेंट पुश कैन हेल्प स्टार्टअप्स. बेसिकली इट विल नॉट इवन, आई वुड से कि सिर्फ VC फंडिंग से भी सॉल्व नहीं होगा.
VC themselves उतने छोटे होते हैं तो
Right.
they don't even have that kind of capital.
Right. So that is my take, and there are solutions. There are ecosystem solutions for startup building. Electronics product also. There are solutions now. Even we are helping component manufacturers also. We are taking and growing along with us. And now there are a lot of availability of Indian components also. 4-5 years ago, it was very bad situation. Right now, there are people who are making motors. There are people who are making controllers, charger, converter. Like my vehicle, 99% it is made in India only.
99%.
Yeah. So other than the lithium ion cells, like cells are not built here, right? So other than that, everything is Indian made. So I think ecosystem is evolving. There are still challenges on the ground, on the demand side, and people are actually together solving also for startups. One is battery swapping, one is OEM guy, right? One is the customer client. Together we are also solving the problems also. So yeah.
It's not that pessimistic. I think I agree with you. Because we established right in the beginning that there is demand, right? When there is demand, there's a backward integration for all
Can you talk a
stakeholders.
little bit about the demand, like quantify it, like when you say
So
demand.
the platforms are growing, right?
No, quantify it. Is it 10% year-on-year growth? Is it 20%? What is the growth of that demand?
So for us as an operator, the kind of demand we see, there is a potential to grow at least 30 to 40% year on year. Very,
That's
very
fantastic
conservative.
demand.
Very, very conservative. Like,
And that's conservative.
very conservative. Because you see the platform, right? If you see quick commerce, they need the kind of scale. They've gone from on average about 300 to 400 stores to about 1,000, 1,200 stores. So that's 4x. And they need 4x number of people to fulfill it, which means you need 4x vehicles, you need 4x batteries and components. So that is not, when there is that much demand out there, there is a backward integration because someone is fueling this, right? Someone is paying for it. In terms of capital as well, at least for us operators, there is capital available. It's expensive, but there's a lot of leasing, there's a lot of green financing companies that are willing to fund newer startups. Which is a huge problem. It comes at 18 to 20%, which is very, very expensive. But since we have access to that, we can scale and take that
So
initial
you're
fund.
saying there's financing, but it's very expensive financing.
Correct, yeah. That's lease or debt model, not necessarily DC funding.
Equity.
Yeah, not necessarily equity, but yeah. It's expensive, but it is available. So someone who's willing to take a plunge, who's cracked what is needed to be done, there is enough opportunity to cater, and everyone in the value chain is benefiting from that.
So what is the demand? We और बोलना चाहेगा कितनी demand है? क्या growth हो रही है इस industry में?
I can quantify. Yeah, please.
एज पर नीति आयोग मतलब अभी जो राइडर की जो क्वांटिटी वो लोग बताते हैं 7 पॉइंट समथिंग मिलियन में है और अब मतलब टिल 2030 वो एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं 25 million plus हो जाएगा तो demand तो huge है मतलब growth.
Using.
Yeah, so currently around 15.5 lakhs L3 vehicles are being sold annually on annual level.
These are commercial or?
These are electric three-wheelers on the low speed category.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Then when we come towards passenger, passenger is also included here.
Right.
When we come towards L5, it is around 1.5 lakh units which are being sold right now. Coming to two-wheeler, the number would be around, I would say, somewhere around 7 to 8 lakhs on an annual level. This is just high-speed vehicles. I think the lowest-speed vehicle is almost 2x or 3x of this, but the government doesn't do registration for that. So there is no data available. Right. And on the rider front, there is a huge demand because right now the people are going hyper local. Every day, new dark stores are being created every 1.5 to 2 kilometers. There is a new surge, like after e-commerce to food delivery. Now there is a huge surge in 10 minutes hyperlocal delivery. So huge demand is coming there. Even till now, actually the demand was only the metro cities, 4 metro cities. Now people have started entering, Jaipur, Vadodara, Bhopal, Nagpur. So huge demand coming from there also. So, and the backbone is electric two-wheelers and electric three-wheelers only. Whole hyperlocal delivery is based on this only. If your delivery boy is not getting satisfied with this EV, because with the EV only the unit economics will work, right? If you're using petrol, the riding cost is 3x, 4x almost. So unit economics of delivery in India is working on electric two-wheelers, three-wheelers only.
Right, right. So this is the point in this conversation when you can ask me questions, you can ask any questions that you want. I'll try my best to answer it. So whoever has any questions, please ask. Does anybody have any questions?
From a funding perspective, when general ecosystem financiers, say VCs or being funds, how important in this ecosystem? Because it has to develop, right? Because a lot of platforms are committing to electrification by 2030, 2027. So capital is definitely needed. So what do you look for in what is primary? Is it sustenance, sustainability, and potential growth, or is it profitability from right get-go or soon enough?
See, the profitability conversation is a new conversation because there was a lot of uproar about the burn models that got funded. So technically, VC, which is risk capital, is meant to sustain burn. I mean, that's the reason. That's the gap that we are supposed to fill, right? But there's a complete misunderstanding as to what VC is supposed to do. Let me start from there. Having said that, look, it's a tricky question to answer because it depends a lot on, let's say you build a platform which is truly unique. So, recently I wrote a piece on my LinkedIn about what is the why? Why will you win? Your reason to win, right? If that answer is very credible and it satisfies the person who's going to invest in you, ultimately it's a conversation between two people. It's not like pura ecosystem that all investors think alike. That's not the case. But I mean, I'm answering what I think is the right answer, and it's an answer for me. Is that what is your reason to win? Now, let's say your reason to win. Now, I'll take the example of quick commerce. Whichever investors saw that opportunity, people had the same question. Oh, nobody wants groceries. Who wants 10 minutes? Remember, everybody had those questions. Who has those questions today? People are saying, like, who can we invest in? Like, show us a startup that can. But of course, people now are also the investors are talking about that maybe the space only for the existing players and no more. Again, nobody knows the absolute answer. So the question is this: that what is your right to win? If you convince an investor about that, that's a great starting point. But it's also not a fund size that you're talking to. Now, let's say there are a lot of micro VCs. Actually, a bulk of domestic VCs are micro VCs in India. So you're talking to somebody who has, let's say, a 50 crore fund or a 100 crore fund. The other question the investor is going to think is, first, the investor can't give you so much money. And this is, as we now all agreed, it's an expensive investment. I mean, there's a lot because you've got capex and opex both, and you've got growth. So you're like trying to solve many more things than a typical startup does. So if you go to a small startup, the person may write you a small check because that's the ability of that investor. There aren't that many large funds, so then there's also funding gap in the market, unfortunately. Then, of course, there are the DFIs, which are the most active in this space, is what and the DFI funded startup funds are the most active in this investment. But again, there are not too many of those. So, and then it comes down to the fund's philosophy, right? If a fund at that moment has pressure from there, it'll be saying, look for profitability before you look for growth, then the investor will give you that answer. But the right to it has to be convincing. If you give that answer, and in the sea of many people trying to do different things, all the challenges that we discussed. So in an industry like this, I mean, the challenges are very apparent to everybody, right? You can see the challenges very clearly. You can see the opportunity. But then what is the cost of solving that challenge? That's a math that every VC has to do. DFIs think differently. These are development institutions. They think differently. Sovereign funds think differently. So it's also who you're talking to that makes a difference. Any other question?
Okay. I wanted to ask, suppose for our startup, our development cycle is done, and now we are looking for a scalability. And recently, we have won the Marathi challenge in the startup.
Congratulations.
So, what you will suggest, how we will approach to VC and all?
The answer is going to be the same because every week, see, एक तो हर VC का अपना thesis होता है. So you got to find within that a VC who wants to invest in the category that you're in, that does matter. See what happens is अगर नहीं मिल रहा है आपको जो आपका जो subset of investors है, तब आप फिर सबसे बात करो. But initially you've got to talk to only those investors जो यहाँ पे उनका एक their conviction है कि इस category में we will invest, right? So that's number one. But अगर वहाँ से आपको if everybody says no, so again the one piece of guidance or advice that I give to founders is that you see sometimes people say no for many reasons, and in India it's hard to say a direct no because people do get offended also. So it's also that equation कि किसी को कैसे आप मना कर दो वो बड़ी पर्सनली ले लेते हैं, फिर वो थोड़ा सा आर्ग्यूमेंट हो जाती है कि क्यों मेरे को मना करा, मैंने तो ये करा तुमने उसको क्यों इन्वेस्ट करा. सो वो सब भी होता है, राइट? तो वो अवॉइड करने के लिए एक तो लोग कोई डायरेक्ट रीजन नहीं बोलते कि क्यों मना कर रहे हैं. बट लेट्स से किसी ने अगर आप लेट्स से 20 इन्वेस्टर से मिले, दो ने भी अगर आपको कुछ फीडबैक दिया है, आपको देखते हैं कि उस फीडबैक में कोई तथ्य है कि नहीं है. अगर है तथ्य, वो फाउंडर का ना एक बहुत सहनशीलता चाहिए, राइट? एंड वो सब समझने के लिए कि जो फीडबैक दिया गया है अगर आप उसको ठीक कर सकते हो एंड वो जायज़ है तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. फिर आपको फंडिंग यू आर क्लोजर टू फंडिंग देन नॉट. बट ऑफकोर्स ऑल फीडबैक इज ऑल्सो नॉट वैलिड. तो वो थोड़ा जजमेंट कॉल फाउंडर का होना चाहिए कि जो जितनी भी फीडबैक मिली, बट लेट्स से एक कंसिस्टेंट फीडबैक मिल रही है तो थोड़ा उस पर विचार करना चाहिए कि क्यों ये मेरे को कांस्टेंट फीडबैक है, क्यों मिल रही है. एंड फाइनली देखिए इंडिया में अभी जितने फाउंडर्स हैं और जितना कैपिटल रिस्क कैपिटल उस पर देयर इज अ गैप. तो आपको ये अपने आप से पूछना पड़ेगा कि अगर आपको फंडिंग नहीं मिली तो आप फिर भी ये बिजनेस करना चाहते हैं, आप ये अपने जी जान सब कुछ लगा के कैसे भी कोई सोल्यूशन निकाल के, बिकॉज फाउंडर का काम यही होता है कि हर चीज़ का तोड़ निकालना. ये प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं फाउंडर के जीवन में, बहुत कठिनाइयाँ होती हैं. तो आप सब हंस रहे हैं बस सच्चाई तो यही है. तो आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा कि आपको ये करना है कि नहीं करना है और क्यों करना है. तो अगर आप बहुत दृढ़ विश्वास है आपका कि नहीं करना है, इसमें कुछ है, मैं कुछ करके दिखाऊंगा, तो रास्ते में कोई ना कोई मिल ही जाता है. तो ये भी एक है कि डिटर्मिनेशन reduces friction on the other side.
Right.
Anybody else has questions?
So I have one question. VC thinks about the safe note in the early days.
So why have a safe note is the question I'll ask you. Why do you want a safe note?
In the early days, if we are not sure about the valuation and we do not have the
No, but why not? You're in the business of business, right? तो business का मतलब क्या होता है? See, बहुत सारे फाउंडर्स को लगता है बिजनेस का मतलब होता है कि कोई भी उनको पैसा दे दे बस, और कोई सवाल ना पूछे, कोई उस पर जजमेंट ना हो. सो वैल्यूएशन इज अ जजमेंट, राइट? एंड एज अ फाउंडर आप अपने व्हीकल पे भी तो प्राइस डाल रहे हो, अपनी सर्विस जो भी प्रोडक्ट है उस पर कुछ तो प्राइस डालोगे ना. आप ये तो नहीं बोलोगे कि सेव नोट कर देना प्राइस नहीं बता सकता मैं इसका कर सकते हो आप? This is also business transaction only, na? So why is that preferred is the question. See, you have to be able to tell the investor. See, again, you have to understand, investor is also doing a business. आप भी business कर रहे हो, so you have to find a common ground जो आपकी equity आप दोगे for that capital, but वो capital आपको आगे लेके जाएगा ना. उसके अगर आप convince है कि उसके बिना आप आगे नहीं जा सकते, so then you have to put value in that capital also. So why would you want to say no?
No, I'm just knowing
No, I'm asking you. If you ask me the questions, I'm asking what is your thinking?
No, like it's again depend on the like how they both agree on the mutual conditions. Maybe some VCR agree on the safe note, some VCR agree on
No,
the.
but I'm saying there's no value to it.
Mhm.
That's the point I'm making. Because you're in business, right? Everything you're doing, you buy a component, there's a price to it. Na?
Right.
तो हर चीज का प्राइस है तो इसका प्राइस भी नहीं होना चाहिए. Why you shy of that pricing? मेरा सवाल ये है. You should not be shy.
Okay.
But of course, you should not give up crazy amount of equity, but you should also not be shy of giving equity. Because अगर आपको लगता है कि बिना पैसे के आपकी कंपनी आगे नहीं जाएगी, तो कुछ तो सौदा करोगे.
But I think there is just one point. Maybe that the investor and the founders, they are agreeing on everything other than the valuation at that moment. And I think that only then the safe note comes in.
No, but you tell me na, that will you tell your vendor or your customer कि we agree on everything but the price? Are you in the business of business or what are you doing?
बट में ऐसा भी होता है कि मार्केट में कई बार हम किसी चीज को लेने जाते हैं जो सामने वाला प्राइस मांग रहा है और हम लेट से हम कोई सब्जी लेने जा रहे हैं, वो एक रेट बता रहा है, खरीदने वाले को लगता है नहीं रेट जस्टिफाइड नहीं है, तो हम नहीं करते, फिर डील नहीं होती है.
But that is business. See, आप ये समझो, ये खैरात नहीं है.
नहीं, बट इसमें इन्हें बाद में मिलेगा ही ना पैसा.
नहीं, मैं ये बोल रही हूँ कि हर बिजनेस ट्रांजैक्शन आज के प्राइस पे होता है, राइट? आप अग्री करते हो?
Right.
आप अपने वेंडर के पास जाओगे या कस्टमर के पास में जाओगे, तो किसी प्राइस पे आपको अग्री करना पड़ेगा. और वो सी इट इज ऑल्सो योर स्किल कि आप किसी को कन्विंस कर पाओगे. आप जो प्राइस बोल रहे हो ठीक है, राइट? वो जो सब्जी वाले का आपने एग्जाम्पल दिया है, आप नहीं खरीद रहे पर वो बाकी को बेच रहा है, इसलिए वो अपने प्राइस में वो डरा रहता है कि नहीं मैं इसी प्राइस पे बेचूंगा, मैं ऐसे कंपनी नहीं दूंगा, राइट? तो प्राइस इज द फंडामेंटल ऑफ बिजनेस. प्राइसिंग अगर आप उसी में मार खा रहे हो या उससे डर रहे हो, तो you have to ask yourself कि आप बिजनेस क्यों चला रहे हो. You must understand that.
मेरा पॉइंट था, मैं मान लीजिए मैं कह रहा
मैं समझ रही हूँ.
हूँ मिनट सी यार वैल्यूएशन है, ठीक है,
कुछ
कोई
भी हो.
इन्वेस्टमेंट जैसे हमारे साथ ये हुआ सिचुएशन, सेम सिचुएशन है कि भी हम कह रहे हैं कि हमने लास्ट 120 CR पे रेस किया, ठीक है, आई एम गेटिंग एन एंजल इन्वेस्टर, वो कह रहे हैं कि नहीं मुझे काम करो 10 CR पे 1/3 कंपनी दे दो. ओके,
आप मना कर दो.
बट क्या होता है कि जब हमें इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए तो हम वी ट्राई कि कोई एक ऐसा बीच का रास्ता निकले जहाँ पे इन्वेस्टमेंट पे
मैं
आ
आपको
जाए.
बता रही हूँ इट इज अ बैड प्रैक्टिस. मैं ये आपको बताने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ कि प्राइसिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. कभी आपको कुछ कदम पीछे लेने पड़ते हैं, कभी कुछ कदम आगे. अब आप अगेन सोचो, आपकी इन्वेंट्री पाइल ऑन हो रही है, आप क्या करोगे? आप कॉस्ट पे दे दोगे, कॉस्ट माइनस भी दोगे कभी, बिकॉज वेयर हाउसिंग का आपको पैसा लग रहा है, आपको वो माल निकालना है, करोगे कि नहीं करोगे?
बट फिर उसमें क्या होता है कि टाइम थोड़ा देखते हैं कि कहाँ तक रोक सकते हैं और देखते रहते हैं.
सेम थिंग. अगर आप थोड़ी देर और रुक सकते हो पैसा लेने के बिना, तो बाय ऑल मीन्स वो करिएगा. आप अगर देखिए, मैं ये नहीं कह रही हूँ कि आप कम पैसे में बहुत कुछ अपना दे दो, ये नहीं मैं बोल रही हूँ, बट it has the same principles of business that is applicable to all parts of the business. मैं ये बोल रही हूँ. So why should this be different? And you should not be scared of it. And it is about negotiation ultimately. जैसे आप अपने clients के साथ negotiate करते हो, vendors के साथ negotiate करते हो, investors के साथ भी negotiate करो ना.
But there are some VC जो केवल safe note में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, उनका क्या?
I mean, that's their outlook, but I'm giving you what my thought process is. That why is a founder scared about pricing it? And I will ask that basically why are you scared also of pricing it?
It's glorified, right? Raising capital is glorified. So you want to raise it, you
Exactly.
end
So ask yourself the right reasons for raising capital. Do you really need it? Would you rather pay 20% like what you were talking about of capital that is available, or you want to take risk capital? And I'm saying it is a founder's understanding of capital. But आप ये नहीं बोल सकते कि मैं धंधे में सब चीज का प्राइस है, बट मेरी कंपनी का प्राइस नहीं. ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? आप शेयर मार्केट में भी जाते हो, प्राइस है कि नहीं है? सेम थिंग है ना. पब्लिक और प्राइवेट
बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस तो वही है कि उसी टाइम पर एक मतलब क्या गया।
एग्जैक्टली डरना क्यों है? एंड अगर कोई बीसी आके आपको बोल रहा है कि सेम नोट है, तो आप मुझे ही पूछो ना कि प्राइस क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? Well, it sends a signal. It sends a positive signal if you're able to negotiate that. See, negotiation का क्या मतलब होता है? Negotiation ये चीज नहीं होती कि जब सब कुछ अच्छा है तब आप बेस्ट प्राइस नेगोशिएट करें. ऑफ कोर्स जब सब कुछ अच्छा होता है यू डू गेट अ बेटर प्राइस. बट जो बहुत अच्छे नेगोशिएटर होते हैं ना, even when they have the back to the wall, they'll get the best price for the company. So that is negotiation. So this is my answer. But now we are out of time, so I want to thank everybody. I think this was a very, very interesting conversation. I hope it was useful for all of you. And thank you for being part of Startup Table with You. You want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to add a last point actually towards mobility.
Yeah.
So a lot of problems we discussed, challenges we discussed were actually focused on the B2B part. And it was painting a little pessimistic view, and there will be a lot of viewers for this video, right? So I want to add कि B2C में इतने challenges अभी नहीं हैं, right?
वही तो बोल रहे हैं ना, B2C is always easier.
Right.
Little bit easier, not easier, but little bit easier.
So just want to say कि इसमें ecosystem है ना, like we were talking about swapping and fast charging. Actually in B2C both is not required. You just get a portable charger, आप अपनी parking में install कर लो. Anyone will give you. Like you charge your mobile, right? 3-4 hours में.
It's a standard now issue.
Right. So B2C, the ecosystem is actually very mature right now, and in India, people are adopting electric vehicles like crazy. And B2B actually, I think this is a year to solve the B2B problem because this market is scaling right now. So I think within a year, we together, the ecosystem will solve this problem, and we are going to scale from here onwards.
That's a very optimistic note to end this episode on. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for being part of this. I hope it was useful to all of you. And I think it was a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.